And who is Janie Valera?
That's her friend.
All right. So what, Janie Valero and your wife and you all arrived at the scene together?
No, Janie was there at her house. That was her, where she was staying at. My wife is working for Janie for a provider, the health provider. So Janie gave us a call that my mother was.
So here's the thing, why are you getting involved in that? It's your mother and this Janie person. Why are you getting involved? All right, court is calling 2022 CR 3668, State of Texas versus Isaiah Salinas. Can I have the parties announced for the record for the state?
Michael Villarreal for the state.
For the defense?
Good morning, Your Honor. Todd McCray for Isaiah Salinas.
And are you Isaiah Salinas?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Salinas, I'm showing you what's entitled application for deferred adjudication or community supervision. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm showing you a true bill of indictment. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We waive it, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Salinas, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments and defendant's waivers and affidavit of admonitions. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon? That's a second-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea bargain agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargaining agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargaining agreement in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court would find you guilty and sentence you up to 20 years in prison?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses to this offense?
Judge, we've thoroughly reviewed his defenses and he's decided to waive his right to present those defenses to the jury.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Salinas, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea bargain agreement?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. I'm showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea bargain agreement, there's a $1,500 fine to be probated. State recommends deferred adjudication. They will take in consideration CC 680977, JN number 2038904. There's to be restitution to Ruth Medina and CC 680977. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to be designated as primary custodial parent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that to be the entirety of your plea bargain agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, is that the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, is that the plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargain agreement. The state is requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 4 years. There'll be a TAP evaluation, 160 hours of community service restitution, no harmful or injurious contact with Ruth Medina, and the hostility and aggression control course. Did you understand that those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to the offenses charged in the indictment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence to support the plea.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, state upper states exhibit number 1 and its attachments.
which I've thoroughly reviewed with Mr. Salinas and we find no objections.
Mr. Salinas, I'm showing you what's entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call, and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same.
Record.
All right, so, slight issue. So the indictment has Ruth Medina. But everything I'm reading in the SIP says Ruth Salinas. So I'm assuming Ruth Medina and Ruth Salinas are one and the same, but I don't have any, unless I'm missing it. So I don't know if you all want to review this, and we'll come back this afternoon. But everything that I see in here says Ruth Salinas, and in the indictment it says Ruth Medina.
We can agree to an amendment.
Let me just, I could probably pull up, it's probably from her old SID that's just pulling it up from.
All right,
Just to be,
so if you all can step back. All right, we're back on the record in 2022 CR 3668. Could I have parties announced, please, for the state,
Michael Villarreal for the state.
for the defense?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Todd McCray for Isaiah Salinas.
All right, and you, Mr. Salinas?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, where we left off, the court had received a waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations and accepted it into evidence. However, the court noticed there was a slight issue. Are there any amendments?
Yes, Judge, we added, amended the stipulations just to include the last page, which shows the variance in the name. There, she has 2 AKAs. And so that's reflected in the last page of State's Exhibit number 1.
All right, any objections? All right, and for the record, then the court is accepting that addendum to the state's waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony. The court is finding that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. The court is accepting to evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Judge, and I wanted to note for the record, I think before I told you, Your Honor, that Mr. Salinas is 23 years old. He works at Toyota. He's a parts controller.
I'm sorry, Mr. McCray, I need you to speak up so court can hear.
This is Isaiah Salinas, Your Honor. He's 23 years old. He's employed with Toyota as a parts controller. He lives with his wife and 2 children who are 2 and 3 years old. I will say, Your Honor, that, and you can see that Mr. Salinas entered a plea of no contest. And I have counseled Mr. Salinas that although there are some discrepancies in terms of his version vis-a-vis the police reports, that he can enter a no contest plea, and that's what he's done. And he understands the court will, if the court follows his plea bargaining agreement, will find him to be guilty. We'd ask the court to follow the agreement. And I will note that I have talked to the state about the complainant, which is his mother, and the state has represented to me that she is requesting probation for her son. And that they are in touch with her, and she is in communication with them about this case.
That's correct, Judge. Last time we spoke to the complainant in this case, it was in, I believe, in May, and she requested that he be granted probation. However, she was still cooperative with the state.
Oh, is there anything you wish to say, Mr. Salinas?
No.
All right, I have a few questions for you. All right, this is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you thinking?
It had nothing to do with her, but I just plead no contest because I don't know. I didn't want to go through a trial, so that's why I just plead no contest.
No,
On her statements, she was lying. To be honest, she was lying on her statements. So I never laid a hand on her.
Well, you want a jury trial, the court will give you a jury trial.
And I've explained that to him, Your Honor, that he does have that option of a jury trial. And I agree with you, Judge. It might be a good point to ask him, since you've offered that to him.
Do you want a jury trial?
I think what the judge would do is give us another setting, and then we can see at that setting what your best course of action would be. But that would be a jury trial the court would set this case for. We could do whatever you want us to do between now and then.
No, I'll go through with this plea.
So here's my question for you. Do you want a jury trial, yes or no?
No, ma'am.
All right, so you want the court to proceed with this sentencing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, who is Amber Rose Casillas?
That's my wife.
And who is,
And she's present, Your Honor.
okay,
Amber's present.
and who is Janie Valera?
That's her friend.
All right. So what, Janie Valero and your wife and you all arrived at the scene together?
No, Janie was there at her house. That was her, where she was staying at. My wife is working for Janie for a provider, the health provider. So Janie gave us a call that my mother was
So here's the thing,
harassing her.
why are you getting involved in that? It's your mother and this Janie person. Why are you getting involved?
I will say on his behalf, Your Honor, his version is very different from what you see there in the police report. So I don't think Mr. Salinas is.
Why are you getting involved in a dispute that appears to be between your mother and your wife's friend? That's my question.
I don't know. I had no right to. Nobody, basically, what you're saying.
Right. But why are you getting involved? It's your wife's friend and your mother. So does the mother want to have contact with him, and why does she want contact with a son who, from these stipulations, with his wife and his wife friends, are getting into a physical altercation with her?
So we have spoken with her particularly about this as a condition of probation, no contact versus no harmful injuries contact. And from what I see, the notes I see, she asks that we include no harmful injuries contact. She does want to have contact. And in essence, it boils down to she's my son. He's my son, and so I still want to have contact with him.
How many children do you have?
I have two,
What are their ages?
2 and 3.
All right, where were they during this altercation?
They were with me. They were with me.
All right, so you, the mother of your children, are at your mother's house. An altercation happens, and you have your 2-year-old and 3-year-old with you. That's it. I can't hear you.
Yes.
Has Child Protective Services been involved?
Yep, they were. Yes.
And what
ma'am.
happened with that case?
We
Is it still open?
No, it's closed.
When did they close it?
Just recently.
What does just recently mean?
I'm not too sure. It was a couple months ago.
If you're drug tested today, what are the results going to be? And you're going to be drug tested today.
Negative.
All right, is there anything else from either side?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
None from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, court is going to sentence you to 4 years deferred adjudication. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. $1,500 fine that will be probated. Taking consideration County Court Cause number 6800977, J number 2038904. Restitution to Ruth Medina under County Court Cause number 6800977. 160 hours of community service restitution. 40 of those hours will be waived once you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. There's going to be parenting classes. The court will remain the remaining community service hours once you've completed parenting. And of course, the court is not requiring you to get the COVID vaccination, but if you do, and you provide proof, and that includes the booster, the court will waive 40 of those hours. There's to be no contact with Ruth Medina.
Is that a strict no contact, Your Honor?
Yes, yes. And once you've completed your hostility and aggression control course, then the court will always reconsider.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So there's to be hostility and aggression control course, proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider with minors. There's to be a UA today. If it's negative, then regular UAs thereafter. If it's positive, let me know immediately. Field visits. One time per month, random. Regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Probation, is there anything else that he needs?
No, Your Honor, if you could just have him wait there, we'll have someone come down and submit the for him to submit the UA.
All right, is there anything else you need from me in order to be successful in this deferred adjudication?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
She's asking you a
Oh,
question.
yes, yes.
All right, because this is a plea bargaining agreement, because I followed your plea bargaining agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to consult an attorney. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record, Mr. Salinas. In this world, what I can tell you is you only get one mom. You gotta treat her with respect. And if your mom is like the mom from the movie Sybil, which I know I'm aging myself and half the people here probably have not seen Sybil. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. If your mom is that way, then you shouldn't be around her anyway. But it appears that your mom is a decent person. Don't bring that on her doorstep. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know you have children, which are her grandchildren. If you want her to babysit, or if she wants to see her grandchildren, then you'll need to accomplish that through a third party until you finish with the hostility aggression course, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.